Adventure Time has a ridiculous number of episodes that are extremely thought-provoking, mind-bending, and at times, episodes that make you feel dumb. I can't tell you the number of times I watched a new episode growing up, only to come out of it thinking, what was the point of that episode? That's one of the main reasons why this show has stood the test of time. Most of us watched it when we were kids, and at first, it was the comedy, the chaotic moments, and the wacky energy that kept us coming back to watch the next episode. However, that soon began to change, as the show started to incorporate really deep lore, and around the season 5 to season 6 mark, some of those episodes featured some very profound themes that no kid could relate to. Or they could, but they just completely went over their head. Again, not every episode. There's one episode that I think is extremely relatable, an episode that raises questions nearly everyone has asked at some point in their life, an episode that shifted the status quo of the story. Sit back, relax, and allow me to recap and analyze the episode Astral Plane. Real quick, if you're new around here, please subscribe. I make video essays on movies, TV shows, and games every week. The episode begins with Finn and Jake lying by a campfire, staring at the stars. While it seems like a cute and fun hangout, Finn begins to ponder some thoughtful questions about life, such as,
isn't it sort of strange that we keep pets?
He believes that pets essentially worship us because we are their only source of food and water. They need us to survive, and that's why they love us. Most pet owners wouldn't think this way, and honestly, Finn isn't technically wrong. It just illustrates the kind of mindset he's in. He then looks up at the stars and notices one that is glowing. He thinks out loud, wondering if it's another planet.
Do people live there? Are they friendly? Do they keep pets?
And with all of those deep questions, Jake realizes he's too tired and says that it's time for bed. After this, we see that the mysterious glowing star in the sky is a comet. This comet, or the importance of it, has been hinted at in several episodes. In the previous season, we learned that one of Finn's past lives was a catalyst comet. In the episode just before Astral Plane, titled Evergreen, we see a green comet several billion years ago. My dumbass said 1,000 in my video analyzing it. We learn in that episode that every 1,000 years, a new comet appears and brings an element of change. It's like the universe saying, I'm bored, let's shake things up. From this, we can see that it has a deep connection to Finn, and this is more evident in what happens next. While he sleeps, he astral projects. The thing is, he can't always control where he ends up. He drifts into a house where he meets Mr. Fox. Interestingly, Mr. Fox is also dreaming, or astral projecting in his own way, I guess. His spirit form is just working on a crossword puzzle for some reason. They exchange a few words, but before the conversation can go anywhere, Finn's spirit just drifts outside the house midway. Finn comments,
That guy seemed lonely.
Finn then approaches Bounce House Princess. He arrives at her home, which is actually built into a cave. She's doing her usual skincare routine when suddenly a porcupine arrives through a pet door she has installed. It starts rummaging through her cupboards for food, and she starts panicking. She rushes to her panic room, where I notice this slight error.
6, 4, 3, 2, 1.
She says those numbers, but dials in completely different ones. Finn looks at it with irritation before arriving inside the panic room. And soon after, the porcupine with its spikes manages to enter the correct passcode and crawls in too. Bounce House Princess then says,
Bounce House Princess, you listen to me. Are you gonna shut yourself off from other people forever? I mean, he or she could be really nice. And
Finn leaves midway again, hoping that they sort things out. He then comes across Cloud Kingdom having a party, where Ice King is trying to chat up some girl. She's clearly not interested, but suddenly is when he mentions that he's friends with Finn. What is with all these princesses and girls thirsting after Finn, man? He's like 16 at this point in the show. Anyways, these cloud people keep coming up to him for ice cubes, apparently the only thing he's good for at this party. When he loses his temper, he freezes everyone, and they fall, leaving him stranded alone on the cloud. Although Finn was initially frustrated at Ice King using his name for a cloud, he actually feels bad for him.
Poor Simon. Poor Simon, sort of. It's like some part of him wants to be a sad Wong Lord. But why would anyone want that?
And then he comes across Marceline, who is singing a song all alone in the sky. Hearing this, Finn says,
I wonder if being a sad loner gives you more raw materials to form song ideas. Is that where creativity comes from? From sad biz?
Before he comes across these space lards high above the Earth's atmosphere. It looks like they're doing some mystical ritual of some sort when Finn finds himself inside a much larger space lard, the Mother Lard. It is here where Finn sees her giving birth to a baby. He then states,
Oh, that was creative. And it wasn't sad either. So maybe birth is the greatest creative statement in all the universe.
And then the Lards give him a ride all the way to Mars. There we see Glob and some of the Martians defending the planet from the incoming comet. Unfortunately, it has no effect. Then we get this funny exchange.
Was that all of our missiles?
yeah, I'm surprised we even had those ones. Like, who would we shoot a missile at? Who'd we shoot at?
I'm thinking, Starman.
I know this is played off for laughs, but I could think of a few people. Glob states that this comet is unusual. Every 1,000 years, it hits Earth, but never Mars. The deity then turns to Finn and asks what he thinks. It's no surprise he can see Finn's astral form. After all,
I am Glob.
he explains that Finn is dreaming far from home, likely because of the connection to the comet, when the boy asks him a very important question.
If just being born is the greatest act of creation, then what are you supposed to do after that? Isn't everything that comes next sort of a disappointment? Slowly entropying until we deflate into a pile of mush?
Glob responds that it isn't enough to have created something amazing, bringing up Mars as an example. He asks Finn why he doesn't let the society of Mars just go to shit, and the boy responds with,
But what's it worth if we all gonna get blowed up right now?
and I'm not even joking. Glob barely takes a second after Finn says this, before launching himself straight at the comet with a battle cry. As he collides with it, the impact sends Finn's astral body back to his physical body, where he wakes up in shock and states,
Glob is dead.
the comet is now heading for its usual path toward Earth, but unfortunately, there is no sign of Glob. What makes things worse is that comet wasn't actually a comet. It was Finn's father, who had lost control of his ship. Now, as a kid, this episode always confused me. I felt like it was portraying a lot of cool ideas and themes, but I was simply too young to understand them. Let's unpack the different ideas and meanings this episode has right now. Each of the characters we visit all echo the theme of loneliness. Let's go back to Mr. Fox. We hear him mumbling this in his sleep.
Bufina, just pay me back when you can.
Aw.
Bubafina, as you'd recall, first made an appearance in the episode Storytelling, which is also Mr. Fox's first appearance. It is here where Finn forces these two to kiss. I would give you the context for why he's doing this, but I won't, because Adventure Time without context is just funnier. After this, Bubafina runs away because she's in love with some other guy, and Mr. Fox is depressed because he really did like Bubafina. He just wanted to kiss her the right way, but because of what just happened, she will never feel the same way. At the end of the episode, he learns that he needs to move on. In Astral Plane, we see his astral form working on a crossword puzzle, while he dreams about Bubafina. This illustrates how Mr. Fox is deeply lonely, secluding himself away from the other foxes, and that he can't just seem to let Bubafina go. Then we get to Bounce House Princess, who lives alone inside a cave, and even gets scared when a porcupine enters her home. It's her isolation that has kept her away from forming new connections and friendships. That same feeling is keeping her from interacting with the porcupine, only to just deflate and essentially let it do what it wants. Then we arrive at Ice King, who tries to chat with this cloud girl, but in the end ends up freezing everyone until he's left all alone. Simon, having lived for eons but losing his mind to the crown, has stopped him from forming new connections and friendships. This illustrates the Ice King's loneliness. Sure, you could say Finn and Jake are his friends, but at this point in the show, they merely tolerate him and nothing more. Then Finn comes across Marceline, singing Alone in the Sky. We've seen her sing many times before, but in the episode Marceline's Closet, she sings a song about how she doesn't have friends. Because of her immortality and her only caregiver in the form of Simon no longer being the same person, Marceline is in fact all alone. I'd say she and PB are on good terms at this point in the show, but not enough to stop her from feeling this way. Also, for some reason, people got triggered I called them best friends instead of a couple, even though at that point in the show, they weren't. If you were one of them, just know that
Every breath I take without your permission raises my self-esteem.
Anyway, after visiting all of these people, Finn asks Glob how after being born, the so-called greatest act of creation, why does everything just suck after that? Mr. Fox is depressed because he can't get over the person he loves. Bounce House Princess lives alone, away from everyone else. Ice King can't form meaningful connections with anyone, and Marceline shuts herself off from everyone because in the end, they'll all be dead eventually while she roams the earth as an immortal vampire. Each of these characters highlights the loneliness life brings. And now let me get to Finn. From the beginning of the episode, Finn was asking Jake all of these existential, thought-provoking questions. The question I have is, why is he asking all of this now? I believe this episode highlights how deeply depressed Finn is. Let's look at the facts. Up to this point, he's experienced a series of traumatic events that easily justify his current state of mind. Billy, his glorified hero, was killed by the Lich. Then Flame Princess dumped him, albeit a very understandable breakup, but then he met his biological dad, only to find out he's a person who cares about nothing but himself. A hard pill to swallow for someone who always looked forward to finding out about where he actually came from. Not only that, his dad was the reason his arm got taken off. And yes, he did eventually get a new one, but that kind of trauma doesn't just leave you instantly. Finn has gone through a lot up to this point, and it makes sense why he starts contemplating the meaning of life. That's why Finn talks with Jake about the purpose of keeping pets, and why he later asks Glob what the point of life is if everything just ends in disappointment. Glob doesn't hesitate when he hears this. He realizes that if everything he built, Mars and the Martians, were to be lost, then it truly would all be for nothing. So he sacrifices himself to ensure his people can survive and thrive. This leads me to the next section. Purpose is something that is heavily echoed throughout this episode, as well as the idea of birth. We are constantly shown glimpses of the Catalyst comet approaching Earth, which a few thousand years ago gave birth to the essence of Finn. We also witness the birth of the Space Lord, and eventually the appearance of Finn's father, who quite literally gave birth to Finn. These scenes all highlight the idea that life constantly arises in unexpected and unusual ways, without any single purpose guiding it. But then, on the opposite spectrum, we witness Glob killing himself. This moment introduces the idea that death can be meaningful, even noble, when it's chosen for a higher purpose. It is tragic and even surprising, but reinforces that death isn't the end, but cyclical. Glob isn't dead, but has taken on a new form, as we see in Normal Man. The quote,
"Glob is dead,"
is a direct reference to Nietzsche's famous quote, "God is dead." This quote can have many meanings, but I'll focus on the one that resonates the most with this episode. I believe this is meant to illustrate the idea of finding one's own purpose outside of a higher power. Finn in this episode struggles with understanding his purpose. Is it creation and birth? If so, what happens after that? Is that enough? And these questions immediately made me think of the Pixar movie Soul. In this movie, the main character Joe Gardner dies and is taken to the great before, a place before life. It is here where he mentors another soul, trying to find their spark. But just like Finn's state of mind is at the beginning of Astral Plane, Joe's mindset is skewed. Throughout this entire movie, Joe is extremely passionate about music, to the point where he believes it is his purpose. He's constantly clamoring on about a gig that he had always dreamed of, but upon performing in it, he states,
"It's just, I've been waiting on this day for my entire life. I thought I'd feel different."
Joe comes to understand that what shapes life isn't just one thing. It's not only music. It is made up of the little moments and everyday experiences. This idea is echoed in Astral Plane, where Finn visits various characters living their lives in simple, meaningful ways. Mr. Fox works on a crossword puzzle. Ice King has a conversation with a girl. Marceline performs music. And Bounce House Princess has a surprisingly eventful day with the porcupine. Even their shared loneliness plays a role in the broader tapestry of their lives, emphasizing that purpose is found in many forms, not just one defining element.
If just being born is the greatest act of creation, then what are you supposed to do after that?
Finn isn't just asking about meaning, he's confronting the aftermath of creation itself, the harsh reality that what we make, what we love, what we build can ultimately fall apart. This is where Glob's sacrifice is important. When Finn questions the point of it all, Glob doesn't offer him any sort of comfort. He simply takes action. He acknowledges that if his creation, everything he's responsible for, were to be destroyed, it would make everything meaningless. So, in an act of selfishness, he gives himself up to preserve it. This sacrifice, in the face of existential despair, is a powerful form of creation, one that reflects the kind of person Finn may grow into. And we see later the effects of Glob's sacrifice. Magic Man, becoming Normal Man, comes to Mars to make amends and has it thrive under his rule. I believe this episode also marks the midpoint of Adventure Time. In any story, the midpoint is where the plot takes a significant turn, and Astral Plane represents that major shift in several ways. For one, Glob's death is a pivotal event that is felt throughout the episodes to come. It also serves as a catalyst for Finn's growth and maturity as he moves toward adulthood. After this, Finn meets his father again, and even encounters the real Catalyst comet. When the comet offers him a new existence, Finn realizes there are still many experiences and small moments to appreciate in his current life, so he chooses to decline the offer and continue living as Finn the human in the land of Ooh. Overall, Astral Plane is an episode about loneliness and purpose. It challenges both Finn and the viewer to confront the uncomfortable truth that life doesn't come with ready-made meaning, that we must define it for ourselves.
So, what do you think you'll do? How are you going to spend your life?
I'm not sure. But I do know I'm gonna live every minute of it.
If you enjoyed this video, you'll like my other videos about different movies and shows. I create video essays like this every week, so please subscribe for more. Leave below your thoughts and ideas surrounding this episode, as there is literally an infinite amount. If you like the themes of this episode, you'll also like my book The Shattered Absolution, heavily inspired by Adventure Time. Please check it out down below, and I want to thank you for watching.